The little squirrel's food reserves for the winter are taken away. It's worrying around in the branches. Maybe food is hidden in the tree. They may not have wings to fly. I can't believe he checked it several times. Why is the food it's hiding gone? He really can't believe this. I don't know who's evil. And stole all the squirrel's winter food reserves. The little squirrel was not willing to search again so many times. Finally, leaning on the tree's branches, she almost cried. In this cold, if there's no food in reserve, it can't survive. The more the squirrel thinks, the more stupid for a long time. After a while, he returned to the front of the cave. Poor squirrel clasped his hands together, staring at the empty cave. It's like praying, let the color happen. Even though the wind is cold, the squirrel's bones are shivering, but it's sitting there like a statue. The sky fell on him. My heart is filled with despair right now. Look at the little squirrel. The boy decided to help this poor little squirrel. So I went to town and bought some nuts. Seeing food in my brother's hand, the little squirrel rushed over. Now its two little ears are covered in snow. It looks like two braids. Very lovely little squirrel whose food immediately becomes fun. It's eating and putting food in its mouth, as if afraid of slowing down the food will run out. But it's still a long time before spring comes. These foods obviously can't help it through this cold winter. Since then, the boy came to visit him a few days later with food. With lessons from the last time food was stolen. Smart squirrels have finally learned how to avoid losing food. Again, it hides the food the boy brings in the snow. The first is digging a hole in the snow, and then use two little claws to hide the oak. Every oak is a hole. I'm really worried he'll cry if he doesn't find them later. But it seems to understand. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. It's partly hidden under the snow. The rest is hidden in the tree, to avoid being stolen by others. It's constantly moving branches into the recesses. They seem to be building a warehouse. It seemed like a small project, but it looks like the squirrel has made up her mind. It goes back and forth again and again. Every time the boy comes, I can see he's working very hard. Over time, there was also a deep feeling between them. Every time I see the boy, the squirrel happily wagged its small tail, then run to enjoy a delicious meal. Boy is my rock squirrel. You can eat acorns every day. Maybe this is the happiest winter he's ever had. Over time, the relationship between them became more
Just
and
hear
more
the boy's
harmonious.
call.
The little squirrel will immediately come running. He knew the boy would bring him good food. And it's also unwelcome. After receiving food from the boy's hand, hurry to leave. The squirrel looked at the boy. Seems to be telling you not to leave. It'll be back soon after it hides the grain. The other squirrel jumped back. Every time the boy brings food to him, the squirrel will hide apart first, even though Sal was born cowardly. It's not easy to reach people, but this kid, he tried to steal food from the boy. It seems that he has completely relaxed his guard. Winter through spring comes very quickly. The weather has warmed with the help of the boy. It is favorable to survive the long winter. Every time the boy goes up the mountain, the little squirrels were all flying towards. The first is to bang hands with the guide to show his welcome. Then happily run around the guide. Let's see what the boy brings this time. Now squirrels are getting bigger and bigger, and even actively went into the backpacks looking for food. Let's look at this ingenious technique. I knew he was a thief, but it still keeps the habit before Kier. Save some food first. Maybe it's the psychological shadow from the last time, when the weather was stolen. The squirrels also need to find their own food, so that it can get through the coming winter. Sometimes the feelings of small animals are as simple as that. Even between different species, we can still feel each other's kindness. But finally the one who stole the squirrel's food